what about that? And they kept saying he's been debunked. We've pointed out all the things, and I'm like, well, where? Nobody's seen it.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, but most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please share the show on social media, as this increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. One more time, if you're new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we do have Spurs Chemo and Sleeping Warrior with us, so if I can say a quick hello to both of you two. First of all, Sleeping Warrior, how you doing? Good to have you here.
Morning.
Good morning. And can you hear us, Spurs? Have you disappeared? Are you AFK?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning to you two.
So
Did
I
you
guess
enjoy
we'll
the
have a
show
quick
on
update from
Flat
last
Earth
night.
and Other Hot
Obviously.
Potatoes yesterday? Did you see that? Spurs? Did we do well?
Spurs.
He's gone.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just fiddling with the microphone settings. Last night, yeah?
Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see us on Flat
Did you
Earth
see?
and Other Hot Potatoes? We're very proud of ourselves, full of beans. We just want compliments. All right, dude.
Well, I think it was a very good job, and I think with the ballers showing the disdain in the chat box, it just shows that they're really trying to silence this find. They're still criticizing it, but they're doing it from behind, behind the scenes. I'm asking them directly, have you spoke with Riley? You should probably get close to him and look at what he's looking at. He can look at what you're looking at. But they just seem to want to stay in their kind of circle and just say he's wrong. And I've asked, for them to point out where. So there was, there's Google Earth, there's the Peak Finder. Because I asked what was the dispute. The dispute seems to be between Peak Finder and Google Earth. And then we had another platform, Houseway said he has a machine which is more accurate. So, it doesn't seem to be a working model for anybody to absolutely rely on. So we have to kind of go with Google because they have the most money, resources, funding, sponsoring, however you want to call it. And I think Google have got it pretty much bang on. So yeah, it was a good show last night.
Well,
For sure.
part of this show is keeping people up to date with the Flat Earth debate, and I want to just tell people where we're at with this in terms of the bigger picture. As far as we're concerned now, the debating side of that point of the Isle of Man thing is pretty much over. Unless someone brings something new to the table, they don't really need to spend much more time back and forth on it anymore. We just don't need to do it. I mean, we've spent enough time on it now, and we're kind of the view that we've done enough. It's not down to us anymore to push it anymore from the debate side. But what we are going to do is push it from the promotion side of it, in that we're going to say, guys, this is the way it is. And we're not really going to push the debate side to it too much anymore because we don't really need to. That moment's been and gone. But there's two key points that people need to be aware of. Firstly, there is some outstanding evidence that we're waiting for patiently, and there's no reason for why this evidence should be withheld, given that it's against me. I would expect it to be out immediately. But Al Kay and Miles Davis went back to St. Bees, stood on the land that I stood at, the 35-foot elevation, and probably the 52-foot elevation too. But they went back and they went to see what they could see, and they've got evidence that, in my opinion, in my prediction, is contrary to their own views, and they're not releasing it for whatever reason. And if it was contrary to my view and I didn't release it, especially when people knew that I was going back to do it, that would be seen as dishonest. Now, my position is that Al Kay, and Miles Davis, the liar Miles Davis, should be releasing their evidence contrary to their own views and opinions. Now, it appears that they spent all day there and they didn't see the land that I saw. Why? Because the visibility wasn't good enough for them to see it, because it wasn't quite as clear a day. And I said from day one, it was just a very, very clear day. Well, they went on a clear day, didn't see it. Now, they're claiming that it was therefore, it's unrepeatable, it's unverifiable. Well, no, you have it there. And the point is, it was just a very clear day. So unless it's another very clear day again, gentlemen, you're not going to be able to verify it because it is what it is. So,
yeah, and I think you've done the fair thing. It's not like you've, it's not like people just make a video and put it on their channel and, toddle off into the sunset or whatever. You've actually said, look, this is my claim. This is what I think. This is how I see it. And you haven't had a proper response. So I think people calling you out to be a liar, I think is very strong, because you've done all you can. You've done everything that you possibly could to assist people so they have an understanding of what they're seeing. And all we've heard from the borders is that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing something else without actually demonstrating. I think this is the fundamental thing, is you have to be able to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. And, a lot of the borders, they unable to demonstrate. So yeah, I think you've done the right thing. There's nothing more you can do apart from present the evidence, ask for replies, people's views, opinions. And, if you're just going to get abuse, there's nothing more you can do.
the second point I want to make abundantly clear is that stop playing with your microphone. The second point I want to make abundantly clear is that now we're not really going to be pushing the debate side to the Isle of Man thing. It'll still be there, but we're not gonna sit there waiting for people to come to us anymore, because we see it as pretty much over. But the key point to be aware is what's going to happen now is the ballers are going to be going round and they're going to be claiming that it's been debunked. It's been debunked. Yeah, such and such has done it. Well, you are bang up to date as of this date at this time today. So it's the 20th of January, 10:46. Right now, no one's debunked it. They're all claiming that it's debunked, but nobody's debunked it. Because the point of debunking is you go back to the person that's presented the evidence, you show them the evidence that proves that they're wrong, and then that person is forced to either accept that they made a mistake, or it wasn't how they saw it, or they find evidence contrary to the debunk and prove that actually the debunk's not right. So, and nobody's done that. Well, lots of people have tried, nobody's done it. Now they've got this sabbatical thing, this protest thing, that's fine, but by virtue of that fact, it also means that it's going to remain undebunked. So it can stay undebunked until anybody comes and shows why the observation doesn't do what it appears to do, then it stands. And until that happens, it's still the case that the Isle of Man observation is true, is correct, unless it's proven otherwise. So as of right now, there is still nobody that's debunked it, even though the ballers are claiming it's been debunked. And I've heard the arguments, I've heard what people have said about it. So anybody that says, oh yeah, such and such a person's debunked it, they haven't. They might have come up with what their views and opinions are, but they haven't presented any evidence to prove that it's wrong. There is elements of contentiousness, fine, but nobody's debunked it. And that's the position right now as of today. So when you hear them talking, don't believe what they say. They're telling you lies.
Yeah, it's rhetoric time, basically, isn't it? The time for observing and applying logic is now basically over. We've done all that, and essentially we can't change what's in the image and what it matches with on the landscape and what it demonstrates. And what it demonstrates is that we can see 145 miles away, proving that the Earth is flat. And to date, nobody's debunking this. They want to tie us up in conjecture about refraction in the north end now at the tail end. And I pointed this out to Anthony yesterday, that we've come full circle now, basically, which is why I've suggested we start to hang up our tools in regards to debating this subject. Just start spouting rhetoric about it, because we can. Why not? Because the tools are no longer required. The first thing that we started to look at, and this was explained yesterday on Patricia's show, the first thoughts the first consideration that Anthony gave to his images was how difficult it was to capture the Northland in terms of filming it. Now, as it transpires, the stuff that was easy was the clear stuff, the stuff that's much further away. So it's in the benefit of the people who want to debate against this to bring us back to the starting point, which is the north, the bit that's hard to see. And there's no point, the evidence is there, clear as crystal, for everyone to see in the south of the island at much greater distances, including Ireland at 145 miles. So for me, it's like, great, let's put that in a frame, put some polish on it and show it to people. This is what we've got. Proof the Earth is flat. Ireland, 145 miles away. There you go. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Show it to someone else. Share the show.
What happened to Spurs?
I think he's just nipped off for a bit.
Oh, did he say ta-ra?
He did. He said, I'll be right back, or words to that effect.
Oh, right. I had to go and get the phone. It was ringing downstairs. So, again, I'm just going to repeat my point. Those that go around saying that it's been debunked are not telling you the truth. It's easy to say something's true, like curve, axial rotation, gravity. It's easy to say that these things are true unless you can prove that they are true. They're not true. So anybody that's going around, if you hear people saying, "Oh, it's been debunked," it hasn't. Because for it to be debunked, they've got to present their argument, prove that it was wrong, and then it's either accepted or rejected, and then it continues. There is none of that. Partly because of the amnesty, but mainly because it stands in its own footprint on its own merit, and that's my position. Nathan's correct. My words right at the very, very beginning were, it was difficult to see the stuff that was on the far right and on the far left. The stuff that was in the middle, Isle of Man, was easy to see because it was closer. I could see it in not loads of detail, but I could see it clear. The stuff that was far in the extremities of the picture, far left, far right, that could not be seen very easily. It was very difficult to see, very difficult. So again, that's the position, and it's never changed. So anybody that says things like, "Riley's lied," ask them what the lie is, because the argument is, "Oh, he said he was in a different place." Well, in context, I actually said, this is where I was for the first video. This is where I was for the third video. The middle video, somewhere in the middle. I can't remember exactly where I was. Now, if it turns out that I was on the top, so be it. I never said I wasn't. I just said I don't remember being on the top, but I was somewhere in between the 2 points. Now, even if it was the case that I was incorrect with that, it doesn't really make any difference, because the amount of elevation required for the observer to see what we can see is miles. You need to be miles high to see it. Huge amounts to see it, because we don't live on a ball they tell us of the size they say it is. It's flat. But even if it was a ball of the size they say it is, I need to be at 2 miles high to see the stuff that we're seeing. Ireland should not be seen. Even if it wasn't Ireland and it was only the Isle of Man, we're still seeing right at the very, very end of it. That's still like 0.7, I think it was 0.72 of a mile behind the curve. At the end of the day, it only needs to be a centimetre behind the curve. Once it's gone, it's gone. So it's like we're seeing stuff that should not be seen. So again, until somebody comes along and shows that it's been debunked, it hasn't been debunked. They can go around claiming it's debunked, but just be aware, as of the 20th of January, nobody's debunked it. It's that simple. So anyone saying that it's debunked? No. Anyone saying it's debunked is telling lies. Tell them to come and see me, present their evidence, and let's see it. I don't mind going to some channels and debating stuff out of this. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it's pretty much over, gentlemen. So until somebody can prove that there's been a mistake or a misinterpretation or whatever, as it is today, it still remains live. No one's debunked it. Everybody thinks somebody has. Nobody's debunked it. That's the truth. That's the way it is. And Al Kay and Miles Davis are outstanding evidence. They were there all day. They were there all day trying to prove bits and pieces, whatever they were trying to achieve. They've got footage that goes against their views and opinion. Can you imagine if I didn't present evidence that I had got that was against my views and opinions and supported Ball Earth when I went up there specifically to test? Come on.
Yeah, I said this yesterday. It was Jem Panda that pointed out that you get biased reporting when it came to the Moonlight test, and people would just not publish their results if they got a null result or a fail. That's what would happen. People would only publish the thing that supported their rhetoric. And you think, right, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Well, in this instance, we've got outstanding footage that is absolutely identical in terms of the location position, the observer height, everything. It's all the same. Now, we haven't got any data, and we haven't got the footage. Meanwhile, they're asking you for metadata and stuff. It's like, hang on, we haven't even got the footage from you, and you're asking us for metadata. What the hell? You know, it's just a farce.
Which, of course, is a complete distraction, because if they can attack me on something, it means that we're not attacking them on something else. But when we regain our objectivity on this and we don't get clouded by the thing, the fact is the metadata is falsifiable information. They think I'm a liar in any event. They won't accept it. Jeremy's admitted that he will not accept that evidence in any event because it's mine. Okay, so there's no point me even giving it. That's the reason why I've not bothered. However, in the back, they've used this to make it out into some big deal. I don't have any problem releasing the metadata. I had it on screen for Jeremy. It was there. If he'd have said yes, because the question I asked him was, would you accept this information if it supported my position? And he said no. But I was prepared to do it there and then. But Jeremy wouldn't accept it. So then the question becomes, well, is there any point? Because it's falsifiable in any event. I'm not going to be able to be persuasive because they're not going to accept anything I say. So is it even worth me presenting it? And the answer, of course, is no. But I've got no problem releasing it. But I've now made a conditional offer. I will gladly reveal, release, and publish all the metadata if Miles Davis and or Al here present their videos of what they could see. That's not a difficult request. It's not unreasonable. But in addition, I want Jeremy to publicly retract the comment that he wouldn't accept the evidence that I presented if it supported my case. Because you've got to stand by your words, gentlemen. I'm held to account on my words. I think it's only fair that you guys are too. So if Jeremy retracts his words publicly and he says, okay, I retract that, yeah, I will accept it if it supports your case. If he says that, and we get Miles or Al, whoever owns the footage, and they show the video of what they could see, or more importantly, what they could not see, then I'll gladly show it. But until that happens, it's simply distraction, a mountain out of a molehill. And I'm not prepared to do it because it doesn't benefit me in any way to release it, because all it does is open me to conjecture and attack. So it's down to them. If they want to see the metadata, fine, you can have the metadata, but it works both ways.
It's a tale of two images, that image. A tale of two flat earth stories. So you've got the right-hand side of the image, which is like every other flat earth argument you've ever seen ever, with a band of refraction hiding things at the bottom of the image. That's typical. And you always end up with the same damn argument. It's curvature. No, it's not. It's just a bit of refraction. Well, let's do the maths on it. Well, it seems to be that it is slightly beyond what should be the geometric curve of the Earth, but we have this thing called non-standard refraction. So there we go. Non-standard refraction's brought it back. So you're wrong. It's just curvature. Whereas in this image, you've got all that going on. All that wonderful, glorious, hazy, refracted, grey area, conjecture. All of that is on the right-hand side of the picture, coincidentally closest to us. And then on the right-hand side of the picture, you've got flat Earth proof, with a contrast of what they use to co-opt into curvature on the near side of the island. But as you get further and further and further down that left-hand side, the distant memory of the globe just fades and fades and fades, with more and more nonsense about slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holograms. It's amazing. Just such a glorious picture. And quite cool that we were looking at some of your girlfriend's pictures. So she's got a, let's call it in quotes, better camera. It's nowhere near as much zoom. So the images from it are, some of them, you could win photography prizes with them. From that perspective, in terms of what makes a good picture, just a visually interesting picture, your girlfriend's pictures are considerably better than yours. And that's because she's taking glamour shots, things that look visually spectacular, and you're not going for that at all. You're going for how much detail can I get in this long zoom. Hello, Globe Guy. How you doing? Good to have you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I have a couple questions for Sleeping Warrior.
Sure.
So I've heard you say that you think that the Earth might be the size of Jupiter.
Sure.
Why is that? Why do you think it could be a ball?
Because we could be on a flat spot on a ball. And the bigger thing that we're on is we're unable to identify what we're on. I mean, I
So
was
then-
never against it.
So then, but what would make you think it was a ball in the first place?
Dogma, rhetoric, education, indoctrination, the absence of evidence to the contrary.
So you don't have any evidence that it would be a ball. You're just saying that you think you're not throwing out the possibility that it is a ball.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not throwing the possibility out that we're on a flat spot on the ball. The bigger picture being that you have to zoom out incredible distances to be able to see that. And we can only get into low Earth orbit according to NASA. So the evidence for the bigger ball but a flat spot is not able to be achieved because we can't get out of low Earth orbit, apparently.
But if you could get out of low Earth orbit and you flew up enough, how far up do you think you'd need to go to figure out what you were living on?
Well, according to Google Earth, you only need to get to an elevation of 30,000 feet, which is the height of a commercial jumbo jet, and you can see the
No,
curvature
I'm
of the
not.
Earth clearly.
No, I know that Google is wrong. You guys have been over this. I'm just wondering, for you, how far up would you have to go to figure out how big the Earth is or what we're on?
You'd have to get whatever it is that we're on in frame. So however big we are, if you couldn't get it in frame, it would be flat by definition because you were unable to get high enough until you could say that you were high enough. But if you're able to get high enough and back yourself away from it, like you do when you wheel out on the Google Earth, you spin your wheel backwards and it zooms out. You've got to do that. You've got to get high enough to show what it is that we live on, and you have to get it in frame. So that's essentially the task. And if we're to believe that we went to the moon, the evidence that they should be able to provide should be persuasive, and it's fundamentally failed. I mean, there's only the one ball earther guy that pushes anything to do with the moon missions. Nobody else does. And that's because flat earthers laugh at it, because a 5-year-old can tell that stuff that NASA presents was a fake. You can tell it's not real. Now, when I say the word fake, does it mean that they've used something that was half there and fudged it? Or was it that they've titivated it to make it look presentable because it is the produce of their work? Who knows? But for me, if you need to zoom backwards, you need to zoom out high enough to see what you've got in the frame. But given the size of our ball isn't that big, you don't have to get that high to be able to see it. But we don't appear to be able to get that high because NASA's now say that we can't get any higher than low Earth orbit. That's what the kids are being taught now.
All right, thanks.
So you're a globe guy. So obviously, I'm guessing that you believe that we live on a ball, yeah?
No, I'm just undercover.
Oh, okay. Undercover what? Are you flat in disguise?
I'm undecided.
Ah, on the fence. Okay.
I have no clue what's going on here.
No, neither do I, to be honest with you. I just look at what we see. I don't look at what we're told we live on. I look at what we can see for ourselves, because that's saying that all flat earthers use, do your own research, is true. If you do your own research, you end up seeing stuff that you should not see. And then you see things that fail for different reasons to what we're told. Like the curvature thing. They say that little band of refraction that sits on the horizon for a flat earther, the ball earthers call that the curve. And we look at that and say, no, that's just a bit of mirroring, bit of dirt to air, whatever that is. We don't know what it is, but that's the obstruction that we're seeing. That isn't curvature. Curvature is things dropping behind the horizon. Well, we can show that there's nothing dropping behind the horizon, but we can show also that there is things being obstructed. For example, Miles the Liar Davis presented evidence that he thought was curvature. And to be honest with you, I agreed with him when I first saw it myself. I rang Nathan and we went live on Nathan's show. And I said, if you came to this place, you would think that you were looking at curvature, because it was obstruction at the horizon. Miles has done exactly what I did. The only difference is Miles isn't thinking critically, and I'm thinking critically. And I'm thinking, is it actually what we see? So I'm thinking causation. Am I seeing the cause of curvature, or am I seeing something else? And the simple answer is, you're seeing that there's an atmospheric effect that blocks things that sit on the horizon. Sometimes it's a little bit, sometimes it's a lot. And when it's a lot, it looks like curvature. When it's a little bit, you realize that there's no curve there because you've seen stuff that's way further away than what we should be seeing. So Miles accepts that causation is curvature. I realize that causation is not curvature. And that's fundamentally the difference between the two. Miles doesn't think critically, and I look at it and think, is it what they say it is? And I'm looking at it, and I said to Nathan live on his show, I said, fundamentally, if I didn't have a zoom camera, a good zoom lens, and didn't come back to this on that day with a good zoom lens, I would have left here thinking that the Earth was a ball. And it's true, I would have done. Miles did do. However, I was intrigued. I wanted to see, was it really curved or not? I went back and got a zoom lens, put the zoom lens on it, and all of a sudden I realized, oh no, it's just that layer of refraction, that little bit of dirty air. But people will go away thinking that that's curved. So, Bruce Banner.
How you doing,
Hey,
Bruce?
guys. Cheers.
Bruce.
How you doing? Good
Cheers.
to have you.
I'm well. How are you guys?
Very well.
I don't want to interrupt. Let him finish his thought.
No, I'm good. When someone comes in, it's more important that I get interrupted and someone speaks than it is for me to rambling. But when, like I say, when you go out and do your own research, you'll find stuff local to you that you can test, and you can get your zoom lens, and you can zoom right in on the thing that you think looks like horizon, like curvature, and you can get right in on that thing and look at it and go, oh, there's that band of dirty air, refracted stuff that they talk about. Is that curvature? And it depends on how much there is. If there's a little bit of it on the horizon, you're going to see more. If there's a load of it on the horizon, yeah, it's going to match curve. But when you realize that that is a variable based on weather conditions, temperature, humidity, vapor in the atmosphere, moisture, dirt, all the things that affect our atmosphere.
Is there
Sometimes it's
more
less.
refraction? Sorry, is there more refraction over water than there is land?
They say so, yeah, and it does appear to be the case.
Yeah, that does. I was gonna say that seems to be the what's going on here.
I mean,
That's why the world record photo always comes to mind when we're doing this, because that has almost no water over it. I don't think.
Yeah, you want to about the one in the mountains in southern Spain?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously. See, the thing is, right, he's also at elevation. So he's not in that layer of dirty air that we breathe. He's in the layer that's like got no dirt in it at all, because all the dirt is like gone either above it because it's more buoyant or below it because it's more dense. I mean,
So
you only need to
deductively,
get...
that's less refraction altogether from there.
Well, relative to the environment he's in, it would be virtually non-existent, right? Because there's very little moisture up there. It's all condensed and fell back to the earth as rain or as condensation or whatever. So the only thing that he's really got is whatever elements are in that, because we live in a fractional distillation column. We live in something that has layers of atmosphere. That much I think we can all agree on. When you put it into the context of a fractional distillation column, if for those that are not familiar with it, but it's what petroleum companies use. They burn off the crude oil to a certain temperature and then extract from certain temperature bands the product that they want, and that's how they separate the crude oil into different fuels that we use for different purposes. But our atmosphere is exactly the same at different temperatures. All our particles settle, and we live in the dirtiest bit. That's the bit that we're the most dense air. But that's also the point where we get most weird stuff in the horizon, in the observations, terrestrial observations. But if you watch a sunset at altitude over a dry climate, you see a totally different sun. You see a sun that shrinks. But we're told that the sun does not change its angular size. Well, that's not necessarily true. There is evidence that doesn't support that. Now, okay, they may or may not have used solar filters and all that. But what I'm saying is, to the untrained eye, if you can look at a sunset, it clearly is different at altitude in dry areas. And there's videos of it online. You can look it up. Oh, well, it's only a YouTube video, Riley. Well, yeah, it might be a YouTube video, but you guys all accept soundly, and he's just got YouTube videos. So
one thing that's never brought up about sunsets that I can stop you right there and just kind of add to is it's clear that once the sun goes, whatever, beyond the horizon, or as they say, below, the light becomes extremely localized. That's how you get the purples in the, or the reds in the middle and the purples outlining outwards. So the light becomes very localized as soon as it, sinks beyond or below the horizon, versus where it's supposedly lighting up the whole world when it's on top of us. You can see how localized it is by the color spectrum.
Absolutely. They say there's a terminator line from the moon. They show us a clear terminator line, vertical, north to south, relative to our axial tilt. And we should see a sunset where the sun goes over the horizon. And they say that light takes 9 minutes to get to us because it's 93 million miles away. So 9 minutes later, roughly, we should see like a tsunami, but of light going from the north to the south in a line. Obviously, it'd be heading east to west, but it would be orientated north to south, and it would be like a tsunami where it would be clear that there would be a terminator line passing us, and it'd be like a tsunami, and it'd be quick because the rotation of the Earth is fast. No, that's not what we see. We see, like you say correctly, a very, very localized light that disperses to nothing, like your pupils dilating. Dilating is the
Yeah,
word.
but everything is 9 minutes away, right? It's not just that one point.
No, the sunlight is supposed to be 9 minutes. It takes 9 minutes for it to get here. So
Right.
logic and reason would then tell us that we would see the sunset, and then the light from that point where the sun no longer got to us, when the light left the sun, it would still be coming to us, and we would still get light for 9 minutes. Logic and reason, right? Unless there's some other reason I'm missing for. But ultimately, we should see it being north to south. We should see a tsunami wave going right the way across the horizon, and it would be blatantly obvious that there would be a straight line terminator line, and we don't see that. We see it disperse into nothing, and it gets gradually and gradually.
Yeah, but it's not that far away, right? I'm not sure what you're saying by the whole tsunami thing, because it
Like
seems
it's
to
a.
me that it's not that far away. What you're trying to say?
Have you ever
Well-
seen like the gradations of color when you see a sunset? Obviously, right? Like it's hot in the middle and
Yeah,
cools
yeah.
down into the night. So it should be a terminator line, is what he's saying. In other words, there shouldn't be any localized gradations like that whatsoever. Am I right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you look at
It should just be a sweep of darkness going across us.
think about it. If you get a football and you light up half of it, okay, and then get 90 degrees onto it, you've got half that football lit, half that football not, and you see a black line. And that's what they show for our Earth when the sunrise and sunset.
Oh, you're saying there should be a clear line when the amount of sunlight is changing?
Well, not so much a clear line, but I'm saying there should be a vertical line. The orientation of the shadow should be north to south, and it should be traveling in an east to west direction. So it should be a line going across the terrain that you're on, and you should see it. You should see it rise. The black should be coming towards you from one side, pass over you, and you should see it like a tsunami. It should pass over you like a tsunami would, and that's what we don't see. We see a little dispersal of light that like getting smaller and smaller on the horizon, and even when the sun disappears. And the light that we still get, which they say is bent light, which they always say that light travels in straight lines when it comes to the eclipse. But when it comes to sunsets, they say, oh, that's bendy light. And when it comes to refraction and curvature, oh, that's bendy light. But when it comes to the eclipse, there's no such thing. I mean, they talk, oh, well, the lights that you can see, they put the straight lines in, they show where the umbra is and the penumbra is. And then when you look at the reality and then say, well, but we don't see that. And they say, that's because there's a bit of redshift, a little bit of bendy light. So it becomes totally, they move the goalposts all the time. And then they say that we're stupid. And I'm thinking to myself, is it me being stupid or is it you just making stuff up? So that's where you get conflicts with the evidence and with the authorities, and then you have to question, well, which is it then? Is it that they're telling me the way it is, or is it just the way I see it? In other words, it's not doing what you're telling me it's doing. And the curvature one is the best one. It's the one that we can all validate, all verify, we can all check. You just need a clear day, P900, go and stand on a hill and see what you can see. And then dedicate the next 6 weeks of your life working out how far you're looking, because you're seeing stuff that we shouldn't be able to see. So that's that. I mean, you can do this. We can all do this. You just need a P900, a clear day, and go and stand on the hill, and you'd be gobsmacked at how much you can see.
Can I ask you to, not Anthony, what your impressions are? Because literally, what Anthony's just described. So you get your P900, you go to your top of your hill, you take a video, zoom right in, and then you come back and you analyse what you can see. Right? That's exactly what we've done with the Isle of Man image, and for that, we've been held up to account. In the most vicious ways in some instances possible, and literally that's all we're doing. We just it's just literally just looking at a picture and saying what's there. Say what you see. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, it's been completely disingenuous, and you've been more than patient with 40 episodes, testing this, testing that, personal attacks, none of it attacking the point that there's no way you're going to get enough height to see whatever island you're going to call that. And it's become agonizing, to be honest. And really, we just need a better set of ballers on here. And I'm going to make it my mission to go out there and get the Mick Wests and we need some good ballers on here who can hold an argument, and not just conflate to nothingness.
To be honest, I think the ballers are pretty good. I just don't think the evidence that they've got is pretty good. And what
I'm
do.
I'm going to challenge myself to invite some stronger ballers on here to see what.
Sure.
You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I don't know, dude. I've seen an episode where I think they chewed you out. Not that they proved you wrong. It's just that they They kind of gained control of the hangout, I think.
Who are you talking to? Me?
Would that be like
No, the
85,
other guy.
number 85, when I was trying to tell them the importance of flat Earth debate?
It might have been. Your voice is extremely familiar, and I know it was you in the episode I was thinking about.
I mean, that was actually the first one that I was compelled to call because, we were so stuck on this picture that I was like, I'm not in this fight. And they
Right.
brought up a great question. Why should we be talking about this anyways? And I'm like, there we go. Here I am. And so I jumped on the opportunity. And within one point I made, they were just going, they just completely flew off the handle. And then Tim
Oh
Osmond
yeah.
jumped on.
They answer
and
questions with questions.
I mean, they just started insulting. Tim Osmond jumped on, and it just got ridiculous. And then the rest of the day, I got messages from him saying that he was a big boy, and I'm messing with the big boys now, so he's my big boy. And yeah, I think I remember that one pretty good. It was a shame too, because that was going to be an interesting conversation, and it just degenerated to nothing.
Yeah, it got pretty entertaining after that.
I think you're a bit harsh on the ballers. I think that there are some really intelligent ballers out there. I think that the problem is that the evidence that they seek to argue is not strong. So I think what they do is they give a really good argument based on really naff evidence, and it's persuasive. Last night with Patricia, for example, I played a 3-minute clip of Jeremy, and what Jeremy was showing was that Mackall Lighthouse, that was in the evidenced in the picture that he identified for us because we hadn't spotted it. We were trying to do other things, and that was just one thing we hadn't spotted. And Jeremy came to the table and he said, I think this is a lighthouse. And we all kind of agreed. He lined it up and said, yeah, that's a lighthouse. And we all accepted it. Now, what was interesting, and this is the point that I'm making, is that Jeremy didn't say that that lighthouse was behind the geometric curve of the Earth. Jeremy's argument was, well, where's the rocks underneath? Because if we live on a flat Earth, then the rocks underneath should be seen. Now, he didn't tell us that it was supposed to be behind the curve. Now, I spotted it as we were working our way through his example, and I said, I think that'll be behind the curve. And he said, well, okay, we'll see that in a minute. And we never got to that. And I asked for that. And after he made his presentation, there were two guys in the chat, Tony Vincenzo and what's his name, Lewis. And they just said, literally, so patronizing and condescendingly, did you not listen to what he just said? And I'm like, I did listen to what he said. It was what he didn't say that's the problem, because he didn't tell us that the thing that we're looking at and arguing about the rocks underneath was meant to be behind the curve of the Earth in any event. So it's a non-starter. His argument was a non-starter. But the ball
Yes, that's the whole problem with this whole thing. It's just, how do we bring it back? It's a little difficult.
But what the point I'm making is he's got some really weak evidence. In other words, he's got evidence totally contrary to his opinion because it's behind the curve of the Earth. And if you listen to the tone that he uses, you can see that he clearly knows that it's behind the curve of the Earth, because his tone was, I'd like to know where that is, please. And that for me was the point where that told me that he knew that was already gone, and it was just a moot point from as far as he was playing games. But we spotted it, and then we challenged him on it, and then we got attacked for challenging him on it because, did you not hear what he just said? And I'm like, yeah, I heard it, but the bit that he didn't tell us was that it was gone behind the curve of the Earth in any event. So what Jeremy's showing is that with a naff, rubbish, weak argument, he was able to twist it to the point where Lewis and Tony Vincenzo totally bought it, didn't challenge it, and accepted it, and attacked me for questioning why was it already gone behind the curve of the Earth. Right? Refraction hadn't even been mentioned. He'd presented it in such a way that made it look persuasive, and it was clever. He was well spoken, and he was very polite and accommodating when we were interrupting him, and that's clever. Jeremy was being clever. He was using naff evidence to make a point to distract away from the point that it was behind the curve of the Earth. So rather than say, shit, there's a thingy here, what he's actually done is, hey, here's a lighthouse that's gone behind the curve of the Earth, but if we argue this, we'll get them on refraction, and they'll miss the fact that it's missing behind the curve of the Earth. So that's actually using weak evidence, presenting it well, and persuading people to believe something that's not true. Is that honest? Or is that just good debate?
I don't know. It's a hard one to call with Jem. I don't know if he was intentionally being dishonest or not. We had this conversation this morning.
Sorry, I don't know if any of them are really taking what they say seriously. It seems like in terms of facts and what they see, they're outnumbered and they're kind of cornered, and they're trying to work it out, and the best they can do is not come in here because they don't have anything to say.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what strategy I would take in their case, because you can lose one battle and move on to the next battle and say, all right, you've got some pretty good evidence there. Can you beat this evidence? And then we can compare it to each. I don't know what that other evidence would be. Maybe they go with the Southern Celestial debate some more, which would be interesting. But instead, it's, how do we pull it back? That's why I say we need new blood in here.
I agree. There were points that they made that were fair and they were reasonable. And for the sake of the debate, we would concede and move on. We would not concede overall, but we'll say, okay, we'll give you that. Let's move to the next point. So we'll give them concessions to explore the debate. But those same concessions never come back. They never give an inch. Never, ever, ever. Even when they're pushed with, I mean, literally, it got to the point where Paul, the self-proclaimed physicist that's probably a high school teacher, he admitted that he...
Hey, Jazzaconda. How you doing? No trolls today. Hopefully we'll get to hear from you.
Speak, Jazza.
I hear heavy breathing.
You good, mate?
I thought I heard him.
Has he spoke?
Yeah, he's all good.
Oh,
good to
okay.
have you, Jazz.
So
Yeah, I'll mute until.
Sure, yeah, just jump in when you get a chance, man. Where was I?
And they always talk about, getting published and whatnot. This is a great challenge for a baller to explain this refraction, possibly find an experiment that explains it, or possibly come up with a whole new reason how the ball works and how this happens. I don't know.
Point. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Go get yourself peer review to figure this out.
They would get really famous if they could prove how this worked.
Yes.
It just seems to be the way it appears.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, this is exactly our point. When you just look at the image in isolation, if you were to just take the image of the Isle of Man and show somebody, they'd go, oh, cool. You've composited together an image of the Isle of Man. That's cool. But you probably give it virtually no consideration whatsoever in terms of it being a fantastic image. It's just not. And it's just an image of what we see in our day-to-day lives, which isn't particularly fantastic. However, if you live on a sphere, the explanation for that image is ridiculously fantastical. You've got to believe all kinds of crazy stuff is going on just to look at it, because you've first got to accept that you're not actually looking at any of it. None of it's really there. None of it's actually visible. It's just an impression of what's behind the Earth curve. And that's only necessitated by an Earth curve that we can't see. It isn't in the image. It's not blocking anything.
Oh, right.
So
I had a question. So does their light bending around a ball depend on how much gravity that ball is? I don't know what the word would be for that, but it has, I guess.
No, it depends on how much they need to make it look flat.
No, I think he's
mean,
onto
like,
something,
theoretically.
though. He is because gravity is.
Because if we're saying that the light is bending around the ball enough to where you can see your own ass, right?
Because space and time is being bent, through
it would
the
be
process
bent
of gravity
by Earth in such a way that it would appear to be flat, is what their argument is. Because it would have to have just enough gravity to pull the light in.
Well, and that's Jaren's big argument, and I guess I repeated him a little bit, is that you're kind of hitting on the fact that why isn't the water looming as well? It's only looming this one object, or it's only bringing up this one object.
It's not looming up the sea.
I suppose I'm going to ask you two both a question. I guess you've both been watching the debate itself unravel over the weeks, and I guess you're both aware that they're on this protest at the moment, and they claim it's because Nathan's a heavy-handed moderator or biased moderator or whatever nonsense it is. What they're not coming in, right, based on what they say is protest.
Well, I will be on their side about that. I'm sorry, but Nathan is definitely biased for the globe, or not the globe, the flat Earth. But it's hard for him not to be, because of the evidence.
Yeah.
So he's just asking that they be honest about what they're saying. It's not that, I don't know. It just seems that way to me.
The thing is, there come a point where we got to about maybe 6 or 8 shows in, and Nathan and I realized that, hey, this is standing the test of time here. This is becoming quite strong.
Right,
So,
that's what I mean.
So rather than just cower into the corner and allow them to beat us up, which is essentially what you have to do when you present evidence that's contrary to your opinion.
It's me, don't kick me.
Yay. It means that we realize that we don't have to just cower in the corner and take blow after blow after blow from these idiots that are essentially trolls. I mean, there's 1 or 2 of them that are genuine and sincere, but the majority of them are literally trolls. But we realized at some point that we were going to be able to start throwing some punches back. And it was tactical. It was a case of, well, when should we start fighting back? Because we're standing our ground here. How much do we need to be a punch bag before we start standing back? And we took the tactical decision that we weren't going to allow them to distract away from the points of the contentious points anymore. We were going to stand the ground and make sure that it was the way that it was argued. And that started to work. And that was the beginning of the moderation. Yeah, but the thing is,
we're sticking to the elevation of the globe because that's what their model said. That's what
they do is they deliberately distract away from points where they're about to lose. So the question becomes, do we allow them to distract away from the points that they're losing on? Or do we say, no, this is the point we're talking about. This is the evidence. You're in the corner. Now, my own view on it is I'd rather like to go in for the kill. And that's what most other people would like to see. They want to see somebody win. What we don't want to see, in my opinion, my view on it is we don't want to see a troll fest. We don't want to see a shit show. I don't know how else to say that.
Well, I don't really mind. The whole reason I started watching this was because I thought it was entertaining. I was already on the fence, and I already came to the conclusion that we probably weren't going to figure out what we're living on, but we could try. So this has just been a little bit of entertainment for me.
But that's my view. We could probably
there's 3 different people.
My view is we probably can't work out what we are on, but what we can work out is what we're not on. That's my view, because we know that we're not on a ball. Certainly not a ball.
Okay, yeah, we can limit our options, I guess.
Yeah, and that's my view on it, and it always will be, because it's hard to prove flat because you have to see everything all at once. But it appears to be flat, certainly local to the world that we live in. So we could be on a flat part of a ball. I accept that. We could never tell. We'd have to zoom high enough, and they probably don't know. Or they do know and just not telling us. But in any event, the curve that they tell us is there for our domain that we live in, our domicile, is not there. We can test that. It's repeatable. We can do it all the time. Sometimes you get obscurity and sometimes there's a bit of debate. Joshua in the wiki, a little bit of refraction, puts it into that grey area. But in this instance, it doesn't. It goes way past that. It goes to the point where, hang on a minute, you're going to have to argue some crazy amounts of nonsense here, and then add a bit more nonsense to it, and then a bit more nonsense for those that are unsure. And then ultimately, it's how much nonsense does there have to be added before it considers to be persuasive enough? And it's at the end of the day, if it's nonsense in the first place, it's nonsense, and that's my view. They're talking about all this bendy light, and they're talking about it's nonsense. We see things because it's there. So tactically speaking, Nathan and I actually made the conscious decision: do we allow them to continue to pull away from the points that we know that we can win on because we've realized that we're strong, or do we reel them in? And it was a tactical decision based on basically winning the point. And that's what we did. And it was a decision. It wasn't something that Nathan became tyrannical over. It was something that was decided because we were being pulled from pillar to post, and we were never getting any closure on any points. It just became a war. And that's not really the point of a debate. The point of a debate is that somebody should be able to present the strongest arguments and win. And usually it's tactical. You see it all the time in debates. One guy's stronger than the other guy. The other guy has to accept defeat graciously, thank them for and that's the way it should be. But what we were doing was presenting arguments, and we were starting on the debate and starting to get to the point, and then somebody would randomly say, well, what about the vernal equinox? And totally derail the whole conversation. And it was always done at the point where one of the ballers was being cornered. So which one is it? Do you want to see the baller getting cornered and on the ropes and receiving blows himself? Or would you rather see it get just to the point of the climax of the conversation and then for somebody to totally derail it? What would you rather see? What's your preference?
I'm sleeping in, Nathan. Can you just give me a couple of minutes and I'll be back just to have a quick chat, if that's all right?
Sure. Yeah, man. I'm here.
How long has the hangout been going?
50 minutes.
You guys started early this time.
Yeah, I did an interview with Gary John, the organiser of the 2018 Flat Earth UK Convention, which is on the 27th, 28th and 29th of April at Jury's Inn in Birmingham. And he was up really early because he was actually I think he was at the hotel itself, checking it out, checking the rooms out, haggling, whatever he's doing. And he wanted to do an early morning call while he had good quality Wi-Fi from his actual room. So I was up at sort of 8 o'clock getting the show ready for him. And as soon as I finished, I called Anthony and was like, how did you think it went yesterday? And I decided to come on and do the show pretty much straight away. How you doing, Rene?
Hello. Hey.
Good to have you.
Listen, can I, that picture, I'm doing a little more research, and I really need that picture with 3 layers you got of Isle of Man and Island. Can you drop that in the side chat?
I'm sure I did this for you in the last hangout.
No, I said no, I didn't have time to get it. But can you do it again? I didn't get it last time.
Which picture is it you're after?
I'm after the picture where you have 3 versions of the same panoramic view of the Isle of Man.
Right, I don't have that one. Ranty's got that one. You'll have to I don't know how you're going to get in touch with Ranty. He's not on the panel at the minute.
Am I right in saying that he's putting a shared drive together for this?
Yeah, we need to put a shared drive and put everything in it in one document. That's what we need to sort.
That could be nice.
Yeah, we need a shared document that we can stick in the credits or in the description box for each hangout, and that's what we need to do. I tell you what, we'll do that today. We'll do that. We'll get a Google Drive set up today, and we'll get it. And then it should be in the description box for like all the hangouts that are coming up, so that everybody can look at all the stuff.
Is there going to be a hangout tomorrow?
Sure.
It's a daily debate show, but
at this time.
Generally
around about this time, yeah.
This one's a little bit earlier than normal, but yeah.
It's 8:30 for me right now.
Yeah, but all you need to do is go to the description box in one of the probably the chat tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'll get it, because I don't have that document at the minute, and Ranty's not online. Oh, Ranty is online, but he's not on the panel, so.
Or give me a second, Rene. What I'll do, I'll transition to the photographs. Give me a sec. And when I do, if you can just, if you can stick your email address into the show chat,
if you
the side
see
chat.
my name, you should be able to see my email address.
Sure, but just for convenience, if you can just type it, just so that Anthony's got it, it won't go out to the public.
In the group chat.
In this group chat for the call, yes, the one that you're in now. So if you scroll over the page and just go to the top box on the left-hand side, the chat, and then
that's the one?
There you go, perfect. So once that's out of the way, I'll get rid of it now. Once Anthony's got it, and then I'll go back to it. So no one's seen it.
Okay, good.
So
I'll be out again. I'll have to do some more research.
Yeah,
I'll be back later. When I'm looking forward for the picture, and then I'll be back later.
Sure. So specifically, the 3 Google and the high res and standard res images side by side.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get a message to Ranty and he'll email that if Anthony can just pass on your email address to him.
You got my email address now.
Yeah, but you've asked several times. I'm just conscious that you've it's a bit mean to say, "Oh, wait for the Google Drive" like everyone else when you've asked so many times on the show. So hopefully we'll be able to get
I have asked a lot of times. I know.
You've asked a few times.
Yeah. Bye. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Rene. Good to see you.
All right, so I'll pass it over to Ranty.
Are Globe Guy, Jazzaconda, and Bruce still active, or are they?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just back
Hey,
now.
so Anthony, what do you think what do you think the general motivation is for sort of Lottie's, behavior with all the shout outs the other day and, just the overall havoc?
It's obfuscation, isn't it?
Is it purposeful? Are they really this upset by Nathan's behavior? I mean, can you explain the psychology?
Yeah, it's obfuscation, intentional. They don't want to talk about this anymore because they've got nothing. They can't explain this nonsense with nonsense. So,
why are they so invested?
At least you're not going to let them get away with it.
Sure. I mean,
hold on. Can we just Globe Guy and Jazzaconda are ballers still? Yes.
What?
You still believe in the ball
on the Globe side? I think. Are you on the Globe side, Jazz?
I have no clue what's going on here. So
Sorry, I can't hear. Did you say, Jazzy, are you still a baller?
Yeah.
Okay, so Anglo guys. So I'm thinking, is Riley's work not convincing enough? Is it? Do you think he's made a mistake? Do you think he's lying?
No,
Do you think
no.
there's
You
errors?
see, he's had the same thought that I've thought, is that it could be a much larger ball, but we're on a flat part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it's because the possibilities are crazy, right? But I don't know. It's a little too difficult to say what we're on.
I just had a theory the other day. If I could just say, just really quickly.
Yeah, thank you, Jazzy.
If flat earthers or you lovely people could prove, you'd say space is fake, but if you could pay a mathematician to mathematically prove that orbital mechanics are fake, or they can't, or it's impossible for a mass to orbit a mass, then you'd prove that space is fake, and
Wait, why? How do you
everyone
know that?
well, if you could prove that, everyone would have no choice but to question the shape of the Earth.
You can prove it quite easily.
That's it.
Jupiter's
Yeah, but in
orbit,
terms of Riley's work, do you not? I mean, why do you doubt it at this moment?
Me?
I don't.
No, Jazza, because Jazza's a strong baller. Yeah.
No, I'm saying if you can get a mathematician to disprove orbital mechanics that one mass can't orbit another mass, then you've disproved orbital mechanics. You've disproved the sphere. And on a piece of paper, you've proved that space is fake by just not saying that every photo is fake. You've literally proved that space is fake.
well, you can prove it with Jupiter. So you can just say Jupiter's cycle in the heliocentric model spends 50% of its cycle behind the sun, right? You appreciate that based on the model?
No, because I understand orbital mechanics. So
So you
Hang on.
don't appreciate that Jupiter is on the other side of the sun, half of its orbit around the sun. You don't appreciate that. You're saying that doesn't happen.
No, it does happen because I understand orbital mechanics.
So
What I'm
you
saying
understand
is
that
if you
half
can
of Jupiter's
disprove,
orbit is the other side of the sun, right? So answer me this question: why can we see Jupiter all year round?
we can't see Jupiter all year round. We can't from the southern hemisphere anyway. Can you see it from the north?
If we can
Well,
see
you
it
shouldn't
at
be able to see
all
it
at
anywhere
any
on the
point
planet.
all year
It's
round,
on the other side of the sun.
that completely debunks its orbit completely, because half the year it shouldn't be seen. The fact that someone can't see it is irrelevant. The fact that you can see it all year round completely debunks its orbit in the heliocentric model.
Nathan, you just said half the year. I can only see Jupiter in the southern hemisphere for half the year.
Right,
Yes,
well,
but it's
we can see
seen
it all
from the
year round.
planet, and the
We can see
planet
it.
is on the other side of the sun half the year. No part of the planet should
So
see it.
basically, he's saying from Earth. Yes, not from your side, just from Earth. We shouldn't see it.
Correct.
Correct. When it's on the other side of the sun, that's what? How many times larger than the Earth?
Shouldn't see it at all.
Well,
Take Venus. Take Venus and Mercury, for example. They're in the inner solar, right? They have their orbit is within ours towards the sun. How in the world do we ever see it at night?
how are we talking about half the year when we're talking about a flat Earth?
Wait a minute. You're
How
confusing the
does-
subject
about
here.
orbital
I'm
mechanics,
asking
that's
you
why.
how we
No,
can
we're
see.
not.
How can we see Venus or Mercury in the night sky if it's within? You have to be looking towards the sun to see them.
Someone just mentioned we can see the planets for half of the year. How can that be possible on a flat Earth?
Okay, we
We're
see
not talking
Jupiter
about-
all year long. If you want
We're
to go
not
back
talking
to
No, you
about-
don't. No, you don't.
No, hold on,
Yeah, we do.
stop, because you asked about orbital mechanics. Yes, this would be going around a
Precisely.
ball. So we're sticking with the ball for you, in this moment.
Yeah, it's like
Just
you've
wanna
said,
explain
if you
that-
could debunk
Yeah,
orbital
go ahead.
mechanics, you could debunk the globe. So concisely and quickly, you've had 3 people give you 3 different examples that completely debunk it. You've gone, well, how does that work on a flat Earth? Well, okay, I can't give you an answer to that, but I
Nathan.
just literally debunked orbital mechanics in terms of how it works in the heliocentric system, and you're basically ignoring it and asking me how it works on a
Nathan.
flat Earth.
Nathan, I'm not ignoring it. What I'm saying is that the people that have answered don't understand orbital mechanics, and that's what I'm saying. If you can get someone to disprove it,
Okay,
then
I
you'll
do,
prove
and I just have,
space is
and you are
fake.
now ignoring it.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have. You're just now saying you haven't. That's just crap. So if you can concisely tell me where I'm going wrong.
I have two.
Yeah, I've just said there's been 3 of us that have all given examples. And so far, you've just said, well, how does that work on a flat Earth? And no, you haven't. But what you've asked for, you've been given by 3 people.
So far, you've displayed you don't understand orbital mechanics at all.
No, let's not attack him. Is he?
No, stop. One of you give me the best example of how I don't understand orbital mechanics. Go.
Well,
Where do we derive orbital mechanics?
Right,
don't talk over each other.
Hang on.
This is the best one. Go.
You can pick one. I'll give you a choice. You can either go with Jupiter or you can go with Venus. Which one do you want?
I'd prefer to go with a mass circling the Earth, because that's what you have to disprove, and you can't.
So I'm giving you the choice.
That was evasive as heck.
Yeah,
Come on, pick one.
It wasn't evasive as heck. It's you can launch a 1 pound weight at 37 kilometers an hour, and it will circle the Earth.
Are you saying that by disproving Jupiter and Venus's orbital mechanics that this doesn't apply? Is that what you're telling us?
No, I'm telling you, you're not proving anything by saying a mass 1 billion kilometers away is circling something 25,000 kilometers in circumference.
No, but we don't propose for 1 second that it's a mass that size. You know, we don't buy the Cavendish experiment giving us the weights of the planets. That's ludicrous.
You don't.
No,
I know
not
you
at all.
don't. That's what I'm saying.
You have no clue
Prove
how much
something.
Jupiter weighs. Absolutely none.
Oh, you're going to ban me again. I guarantee it.
Can you just answer Nathan's question and we'll get very far with this? Just answer Nathan's question.
What is Nathan's question?
Do you know how much Jupiter weighs?
It could float on the surface of the ocean.
Okay, so do you want to pick do you want Venus or Jupiter?
Do you know how much Nathan weighs?
You wanted to know how to debunk orbital
Do you
mechanics.
know?
Right.
Do you know how much Nathan weighs?
This is
It's
where
the
a
question,
baller
bro.
gets cornered, and we keep him on track.
It's the same question, bro.
No. This is where a baller's cornered.
It's the same question.
We keep him on track, and we get to the end of the point. You wanted
Keep
to
me
know
on
how
track.
orbital mechanics could be debunked. I'm now asking you to.
I want to see where Judd is going with this. I mean, otherwise we're just going to go back and forth and really get nowhere.
No,
So
let's go.
no, I
I'll
want
do
Judd to
something
continue. Okay, so we don't know how much Nathan weighs. Okay, so what's your understanding from that?
Well, we don't know how much Jupiter weighs.
You can actually put me
So
on a
carry
scale
on.
physically.
Carry on with your question.
But you asked how can we debunk orbital mechanics, and I'm asking you. There's 2 ways we can do it. That's very easy for somebody that claims, which is you, that you understand orbital mechanics. So I'm asking you to pick one. I'm saying let's go with either Jupiter or Venus. Pick one. Doesn't matter which.
No, because we have made man-made objects that can circle the mass of the Earth.
Now you're distracted.
Prove it.
No.
Hang on. This is distraction.
That's what I'm asking you to disprove. That's what orbital mechanics is. If you can disprove that 2 tons of mass cannot orbit this mass that we're on that's been calculated, then you have proof that space is fake.
Sir.
How much money
All
do
right,
we
sir. So if I prove to you that your ISS satellite is not in orbit, will that do it for you?
Well, hang on.
No, let's go with that.
What the fuck? How would that do it? I mean, sorry, Nathan. No, let me just.
I can do it in the next 30 seconds. Will it do it for you, though?
You could do it in the next 30 seconds by disconnecting me. Of course you could.
No, you're not going to get disconnected.
I just want to know, if I disprove that your ISS is not orbiting the Earth, are we done?
You can
Is he not? Is he
disprove.
Correct.
No,
if I
because you can't.
disprove, I'm
Because you
asking
can't
you,
disprove
if I
it.
do, will you take it as evidence that there are no satellites?
You can't disprove it. You haven't
Okay,
been
but
up
what if
there.
I
Like,
do?
no,
Yeah,
no,
but
no,
if
no,
I do?
no. No,
he
no,
wants
bro.
But
but
what
Jazza,
if I do?
Jazza, before he can answer, he needs to know your benchmark. If he has the ability to disprove it, what would you say? Are you going to say, well, you can't disprove it, therefore I don't want to hear what you have to say? That doesn't make sense.
No,
He
well,
has something to
he
say where
doesn't-
he can disprove.
He doesn't have the ability to disprove it because by your very science, you can't verify what's happening. That's why you think the Earth's flat. So you can't verify that there's no fucking satellites up there.
Try not to swear.
So
Come on.
you can't
Try
do
not
it.
to swear.
I can certainly verify the ISS is not orbiting the Earth in 30 seconds.
No, you can't. You
You want to
can't.
bet?
Do you want to give him
Are
30
you ready?
seconds,
It's not
Jazz?
Are you ready?
orbiting.
Give him
Are
30
you ready?
It's not
seconds,
orbiting.
Jazz. Let's see if
30
he can do
seconds.
it.
It's orbiting the Earth in every 90 minutes.
No, you moron.
Holy
it's going to take me
friggin'
30
hell.
seconds. It's going to take me 30 seconds to disprove it. Are you ready?
If you want to make an ass of yourself, or you won't
Sure.
because you got all your mates here.
Excellent. Let's
All right,
hear
so
it.
how big is the ISS?
It's a fucking football stadium.
Try not to swear.
Well,
Football
not a
field.
I
Football
don't want to
field,
object you.
right?
You're
football
only
field.
baller on the
Yeah,
panel.
yeah, exactly.
Try not
How
to
big is a
swear.
commercial airline?
Have you not seen the ISS? This is a pointless argument.
How big is a commercial airline? About 70 yards? 60 yards? 50
It's
yards?
747, 100 foot
Football
football field.
field's
Philadelphia Eagles.
100 yards. That's what the
Do it.
ISS is. So a commercial airplane, I'll give you, is what, 50 yards? 60 yards?
100.
Okay, same as the ISS, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've seen an airplane that flies how high? 7 miles high?
30,000 feet.
All right, 5 miles high to 7 miles high, 10 at the max.
I just have to ask you.
It looks like, hang on, we're almost done. It looks the size of your fingernail when you see it up 7 miles high. You're going to tell me the same size object is floating up there 240 miles high and you can see it with your naked eye. You don't understand perspective, my friend.
That's why I was just about to say to you, I hope you understand perspective, my friend, because it's 7 times higher. Holy shit.
Exactly. And it's the same.
7 times higher.
It's the same size as a commercial airplane that looks like a dot in the sky at 7 miles high. And you're going to tell me you can barely see that plane. You're going to tell me you see the same plane 240 miles high with your naked eye.
It's bigger than a freaking 747 at 30,000 feet.
How much bigger? Twice as big?
2.5.
Okay, does that make sense at 240 miles?
Why?
Why would that
be?
Do the math.
Do the thinking and think why that might be.
Please tell us.
Why might that be?
Please tell us.
Why might
Come on,
that
smart
be?
guy. Tell us, smart guy. Tell us, smart guy.
No,
come on, tell us.
I'm not trying to be a smart guy.
Tell us. Why would that be? How could we possibly see the same object 240 miles higher than we do at 7 miles and we can barely see it then? Doesn't it make more sense that it's a high-level airplane flying at maybe 10 miles up, tricking you, fooling you like they tricked you with 9/11, like they tricked you with Beirut, like they tricked you with Israel, like they tricked you with everything?
Shut up. Rev, speak.
He's already gone. He's going to snipe us all out.
Right. He's not
Is
now.
it possible that brightness
he's
can
going
compensate for how
to
far away
snipe me,
something is?
isn't he, Nathan?
No, he's gone already. You're good.
Now, what I was saying, if I can continue, was that what you guys are going off supposed proof that has been told to you, literally what the whole benchmark is of this whole movement.
Yeah. Everybody's going off what they've been told, right?
No.
So who's not? Who's going off other things?
You've been told by, let me guess, Eric Dubé, Juranism, Mark Sargent, of what to think.
Not at all.
No, that's nonsense.
Complete rubbish. No.
It's not nonsense.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. You don't know what I've been told, but you're telling me what I've been told.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Okay.
Stop
Back
swearing.
the truck up. Okay,
Right.
sorry, back the truck up. Back the truck up. I'm saying back the truck, not back the F.
But why would you
How
assume that
have
we've just
you-
accepted videographers as our benchmark? I mean, that's complete nonsense.
All I'm saying is, man, how have you? All right, this is one thing I'll say. Nathan, are you there?
Yeah, yeah, we're literally mid-conversation.
Right. You had what's his name? Globebusters. The Neil deGrasse Tyson of Globebusters. Bob, Senator 60.
I'm seriously going on a recruiting journey.
doing,
I'm
Warren?
recruiting.
One second. How you doing, Warren?
Hello,
Hello,
it's Warren
how you
here.
doing? Good to have you here.
Good, thanks. I just thought I'd say hello quickly so you don't shoot me.
No, good. Thanks. Sorry, you go ahead, Jazz.
No, I'm about to get shot.
You're not.
Carry
You're
on,
good.
folks. Don't mind
It's a
me.
very snipey free show. You're okay, Jazz.
No, I'm just saying nicely,
Oh,
Nathan,
good.
that if you're still there, that Bob was talking about the gyroscopes, and I watched the whole show, and he was talking about, whether aeroplanes have to pitch down to go around the globe, which we actually do. And a vertical speed instrument has nothing to do with a gyroscope. It's not a gyroscopic instrument.
Sir, may I ask you the Blue Angels that are flying the deck and pride themselves on keeping, I think it's less than 20 feet from each other's wings? You're telling me that they're tipping their nose down on the deck?
To conform to their flight path, yeah.
They're tipping their nose down to the deck. Do you know how fast they're moving across that deck?
So you're saying that helicopters, drones,
yeah, I do.
planes, anything that flies dips
I
their
flew
nose?
helicopters, bro.
Yeah, but helicopters don't dip.
Yes, they do. When they're flying straight and level.
Well, they wouldn't have to dip as much because they don't travel as fast.
Airplanes light airplanes travel as fast as light helicopters. They travel at about 120 knots, and there's only nose up and nose down pitching. There's no left and right to go around.
All right, let's put it this way. I think I got a good way to put it. So your position is that if you didn't keep pointing the nose down, the plane would fly off into space. Is that correct?
Yes, it would first fly off, and then you get to about 12,500 feet, and your passengers would become incapacitated due to hypoxia, which is lack of oxygen. And then the pilot, unless you have an oxygen mask, would become hypoxic, and then the plane would fly. It wouldn't fly into space because there's not enough air, let's be honest, and it would gently nose back down to Earth on the curve, and it would probably nicely land in a nicely wooded forest outside a nice mansion outside of Florida.
I don't think you really
Make a
believe
nice
that.
mess.
But if it could keep its thrust somehow, like have a rocket ship, it would go into space, right?
Exactly. That's why. No. That's a great point. Whoever made that point, that's a great point. That's why the space shuttle rolls over, so there's no negative G's on the astronauts.
Can I ask you about the space shuttle? Does the space shuttle have an engine?
The space shuttle has 3 engines.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Holy freaking hell!
So can we go back to
They
the
tell-
orbital mechanics?
You know, they tell us
Yeah,
it's a glider,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Go to it. Go to it. It
Right.
is a glider, but go
So
to
the
it.
question-
But
Okay,
go back.
all right.
But go
question
back to
we got-
the orbital mechanics.
The question we got to was pick an example. Let's talk about either Jupiter or Venus. Just pick one.
That's not orbital mechanics. That's interplanetary mechanics.
It's planets are in orbit, right?
Are you serious?
That's not.
Are you really being serious?
That's not.
You're going to bring this
Are
to a
you really
semantical
being serious?
argument.
That's not
Well, you're
getting a
bringing it-
space
you
shuttle
basically,
or a rocket
you're
or
now arguing
friggin' any mass
semantics.
into orbit.
You're arguing semantics. So you've said let's talk about orbital mechanics. Got a couple of planets on the table.
Orbital
and you're like,
mechanics.
no, that's interplanetary
Orbital
mechanics.
Exactly, Nathan. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Why in orbital mechanics do big machine things, orbit while we stick to the planet? Why don't we orbit just off the planet by an inch or something? What makes us glue to the planet?
I'm going to try and.
You want us to say gravity?
Okay, can I try and explain this?
Yeah, explain why we're not orbiting.
Because we're
How?
more dense than the air. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's definitely not that. If you try and take the piss. Anyway,
I mean, shouldn't the Earth be
was
pulled
kidding.
into the sun? If
Could-
we're
could-
being
could I
stuck to
just-
the Earth, shouldn't the
could-
Earth
could I
be
just
being
make a
pulled into the
point?
sun?
Could I just make a point and then I'll step out and you can carry on? Earlier on, there was one of the gents on the panel now that was saying that Nathan was out of line for some of his approaches. And I'd said that that was calculated based on the ability of the ballers to distract away from the points at hand. And now,
That
now,
wasn't you,
we have a point at hand that we want to narrow and get to the conclusion of. And the challenge is pick one, Venus or Jupiter, and we're not picking one because we're arguing over whether it's orbital mechanics or not. And I just find that this is a perfect illustration of where there's a distraction. And if Nathan challenge and brings it back on track, he's criticised. But if he lets it go, we don't get conclusion to the point. So which way do you want it?
Yeah,
Do you want it to be on the
It's
point?
not just the ballers that. Hang on, it's not just the ballers that do
who's
that.
that? Who was just arguing that question? I'd like to talk to him.
Me,
You've
Sleeping
just done
Warrior,
it
yeah?
again. You've literally done
Yeah.
it in the next breath by going, well, it's not just the ballers who do that. So literally, we're not going to get back onto orbital mechanics. We're now going to discuss whether or not the globers and flat earthers do the same tactics.
It's not. It's not the same.
That's it.
I've never heard the
That
question.
in and of itself is another distraction tactic.
Anyway, carry on. Let's go.
It's not. Paul, did you just ask me about that? About orbital mechanics?
No, you asked us if a mathematician could debunk orbital mechanics, that would debunk the globe. I think that was your assertion. Why hasn't it happened? Then in quick succession, several of us gave you examples of how it doesn't work in the heliocentric model. And then we had lots of distraction. You didn't concede a thing.
No, Nathan, just calm down there, buddy. What I was saying is,
I'm not calm.
saying.
I'm just literally summarising what's happened. That's not me losing my temper.
Oh yeah.
It may be
no,
making
yeah.
you under pressure. That's what happens normally. I put someone under pressure by basically illustrating exactly what's happened. Then they accuse me of being angry. No, I'm not angry. But eventually, with a bit of luck and a little bit of pressure, we might get a concise answer from you to your own bloody question about orbital mechanics, which you posed.
Okay. Well, I must say, Nathan, that you should be a investigative journalist. Your questions. It's not distraction. It's compliment. Jesus Christ! Learn
Answer his
what a
question.
compliment is.
Come on, somebody asked about orbital mechanics, and the question
All right.
poses.
I asked about orbital mechanics, and no one has said. Everyone's just said, "Oh, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake."
No,
My
nobody said
question
the word
was-
fake.
No,
I don't
no,
think
no, no,
literally
no.
the word
No.
fake.
My
The word
question
fake has
was
not
if
been
you-
used once. That word has not literally not passed anybody's lips in this entire conversation. Nobody has said it's fake.
Okay.
Not once.
Okay, Nathan. Okay, that's great. That's great investigative journalism because
No,
now
that's just you talking complete horseshit.
No. Now you've proven that you have to prove that orbital mechanics is fake. You have to prove it, because if
So
you
now
can prove
you're
that,
using the word fake.
no, by what you just said to me, you just proved that orbital mechanics doesn't exist.
No, we haven't
We are
said it doesn't
using
exist
orbital
either.
mechanics to prove that the solar system model does not exist.
I'm proving that if you can't prove orbital mechanics doesn't exist, then the model that exists today, that we've all learned, that we were modeled by, exists. If you can prove that orbital mechanics doesn't exist, then you can prove that space doesn't exist. Then you can prove accurately that the Earth's not a sphere.
I would agree, and I think we've done the job tonight. Thank you very much.
No,
I
you
don't think-
haven't.
I don't think
Good
we've done
job.
I don't think so
You've
either.
done nothing. You've done
We
nothing.
haven't done anything.
You've proved that you can stay in a motel room with a double bed and it can't be made.
Well, we've
No.
That's all
proved
you
two
proved.
contentions that, again, have gone unrebuked.
All right. So are we going to deal with orbital mechanics or not?
I think we should. Are you able to do that?
I'm trying to. I've been trying to for like half an hour. So the one that asked about orbital mechanics, could you please identify?
Yeah, that's me.
Who's that?
That's me, Jessica.
Jazz. Okay. So you asked about orbital mechanics, and you said that if we could debunk orbital mechanics for you, whatever it was you said. So there were two questions posed. One was to do with Venus, and one was to do with Jupiter. Just pick one.
No.
We'll go with that.
Well, you could pick either. But
All right,
what
so
I'm saying is,
I'll
No,
suggest that we go with Venus then. Are you okay with Venus?
no, sleeping. Is that your name?
Sure.
You are my Venus.
Right. What I was going with, it's because things are so, Venus and Jupiter and Saturn are so far away. What I was going on about orbital mechanics was, can we as humans build something to orbit the Earth and go to the moon?
That wasn't what you said, though.
That I stipulated that many times.
No, you said some words to the effect of, if we could disprove orbital mechanics, then... can you remember what you said?
I can't remember what I said, but you can go back and listen to it.
You said if a mathematician, you were saying that you don't look at enough evidence. We're moving on from the Isle of Man. You guys need to find a mathematician to
I never said anything about the Isle of Man. You're talking about the guy that was
No,
on.
we were.
Yeah, but that's the
I'm saying the
problem. How can
conversation
you
moved
ignore
on
the Isle
from-
of Man?
Yeah, the conversation moved on from the Isle of Man, which is what we were chatting about, and you brought the conversation onto a mathematician debunking orbital mechanics. That's what you guys need. That's what you said.
No, I said, Nathan, and I've said it to you before, if you can get a mathematician to disprove orbital mechanics, as in we cannot orbit the Earth, meaning we have never been to space,
Right.
then you have reason for everyone to disprove the shape of the Earth. But
All
you've
right.
never done it.
All right. So let's look at the point that we're trying to discuss. Okay.
The point.
So we're
Okay,
going
let's
to...
do it. Non
Let's do it.
sequiturs.
Go back to Jupiter. Let's do
A
it.
string of
All
non
right, we'll go
sequiturs. At which point, it's like a string of non sequiturs that doesn't really make much sense.
Well, I suggest that we could deal with
Of
Venus
course
or
it
Jupiter.
doesn't make much sense.
We could deal with Jupiter or Venus, and that would disprove orbital mechanics for you adequately. If you'd
The
like to
flat
carry
Earth
on with
doesn't
that, let's
make
do
much
it.
sense if it made sense.
Why?
What?
Why wouldn't it make sense?
The flat Earth wouldn't make sense if
Yeah,
orbital
why?
mechanics make sense. Because the orbital mechanics can't work if the Earth's flat. That's why I'm saying prove that it doesn't exist.
Why can't math work if the Earth isn't flat or is flat?
I never said math. I said orbital mechanics. That's what I'm saying.
thought that was
prove it
math,
doesn't
though.
exist.
No, the
Holy
heliocentric
friggin'
explanation
shit.
for orbital mechanics does not work if the Earth is flat. That's all that fails. We're trying to give you examples of how the heliocentric orbital mechanics fail, and you won't listen to them.
You can't listen. What I'm saying is, if orbital mechanics doesn't work, that means the Earth's flat. Or a shape other than a sphere. If
No, I
orbital
wouldn't agree with
mechanics
that. That's
does
a
work,
non sequitur
that
conclusion.
means the
You
Earth
can
is
no
a
more
sphere.
prove the Earth is flat using the celestial bodies than you can prove it's a sphere. The fact that you have orbital
frickin' hell.
mechanics in no way defines the ground beneath my feet or gives us any curvature. The two are entirely mutually exclusive.
I just explained it perfectly, Nathan.
You didn't.
You've asked for $120,000 for your business. You've offered me 5%. You've given it a $2.5 million valuation on that. It's
Talking
nuts.
complete
I'm out.
nonsense now. Now you're just literally talking gibberish about a business deal. You're literally talking nonsense now.
Whilst I've got a slight lull, I just
Because what else could I say? Holy shit.
I'd like to inform everybody, because this is part of keeping up to date with the flat Earth debate, that Al K is in chat, and he has evidence that's contrary to his opinion, and I'm calling him.
Yeah, we'd like to see your footage, Alk. Be great if we could have the video that you haven't released, or the GPS data that you haven't released, or the measurement that you haven't released.
I'd love to see it and your images. Can't
Say
do
again?
it.
Say again, Jazz?
No, sorry, mate. You go ahead.
No, I was saying pardon.
Oh, no, I was saying pardon too.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, we'd like to get Alk's images that he hasn't released. We keep getting told that they've been released on videos that don't have them on. It's amazing how people seem to fantasize about these videos being released, but unfortunately, yeah, we've not seen them. We've looked, they're not there.
Yeah, we got referenced a video yesterday by somebody, I can't remember who it was. And when we looked at the video, there was no evidence in that video. So he's perhaps made a mistake or claiming something to which he wasn't entitled to claim, a bit like Wallace on the Bedford Levels experiment. We want to see the evidence. And if it's out there, tell us where it is. Tell us the timestamp. Let's see it. But Al, you know you've got evidence that you didn't manage to recreate the evidence that I got. And we want to see it. All we want to do is see it to see whether or not I was right. I could see further, so I could see more land. You couldn't see far enough. You couldn't see more land. So all we want to see. It's not that difficult. You only need a 10-second clip. So
I would encourage everybody to put some pressure on Alk to do exactly that. I mean, let's be honest here. We're being pestered for metadata for the images that have been released and scrutinized, and we're even getting people now asking for the composites we've made based on those images to be released to them also. So it's pretty much the case that we've got people dictating that more information regarding the video that's already out there should be released and scrutinized. And yet, Alk seems to be getting away scot-free, as though he hasn't been back to the location, he hasn't gone and repeated the observation, like his information isn't useful, and let's be honest, we're getting accused of being liars. Why isn't this Alk getting the same treatment? I don't get it.
And why aren't ballers putting pressure on him? Because if it was the other way around, and all the flat earthers were asking me, go on, Riley, go back, and I went back, got the evidence, and then thought, might not have what I thought I had here. If I didn't release that evidence and I tried to hide it and hope people forgot about it, would it be accepted by flat earthers? I mean, ballers would go berserk, but would flat earthers think that it was acceptable if I didn't hold on to stuff? No. People wouldn't, like Nathan, would be saying, come on, you got to come clean. But that's not happening here, is it? He's got evidence that doesn't support his narrative. He's not releasing it, yet no ballers are pushing him for it. And that seems to be acceptable.
I'm going to do a very quick link as we have approximately half an hour left on this broadcast. If you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. But most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is about half an hour left on this live stream.
If you're super smart and you believe in the ball, please call in.
Hey Nathan, I just want to say thanks for not bloody ejecting me.
You know, I
You're a good
haven't
man.
ever ejected you, right?
Or whoever ejected me last
Yeah,
time.
the snipers get you. I mean, I might have got you once because you didn't speak up quick enough. I can't remember specific example of you being booted by me, but on the whole, in the last few shows, this one is the exception. People just join to boot others, and they just don't want you talking to us, having this conversation right now. And like I've said to a couple of others, Renee included, I am extremely grateful that you've joined us. How you doing, Frank James? Good to have you here. Straight on mute.
Oh no, I appreciate that, Nathan. All good.
Frank,
Cheers,
speak
mate.
up, Frank.
I've booted him. So that would be an example of me kicking somebody because they've joined, gone straight onto mute. It's like, no, you need to say hello. But yeah, thank you very much for being here, Jazz. I really, really appreciate it.
No, I might just stay here for a wee bit. I just wanted to see if anyone wanted to talk about the airplanes and the old pitching down around the world.
Okay,
Yeah, man,
I'll
you go
talk
ahead.
about that. What is it you want to know?
It's not what I want to know, it's what you think.
So the question that you're asking is, do planes nose dip around the ball? Is that what you're getting at?
That's
I
exactly what I'm
believe that's
getting at.
what other people
But
say.
it's that's what people say, but is it what you understand?
My understanding was the attitude meter has two lines, one that's the actual horizon and one that is like the false horizon that is slightly lower, and essentially they line up with that and just stay there. That was my understanding. If you're asserting that that lower horizon line is them in effect dipping their nose around the curve of the Earth, I would assert that that's just horseshit.
No, that's completely false.
Okay, feel free to correct me. That's my understanding. I'm quite happy to be wrong.
No, I don't have any pictures or anything to correct it, but it is yeah, very definitely wrong. The vertical speed indicator is not in any way, shape or form a gyroscopic instrument as was previously advertised a couple of weeks ago.
So I said
Got
attitude
nothing
meter.
to do with
Attitude
gyroscopes.
meter? Attitude indicator?
Attitude indicator and artificial horizon are gyroscopic instruments, but the VSI or vertical speed indicator has nothing to do with gyroscopes, nothing at all.
Right, but I didn't say vertical speed indicator, did I? That's not the words I used. I specifically said attitude meter.
No, that's not the words you used, but a person on your video did specifically use those videos.
Okay,
Those
well, he's
words
not here. I am.
definition.
I am here. He's not. Sorry.
No, shit. I'm sorry about that.
So come on, lead us into the conversation. You need to guide us into what you want us to talk about.
No, well, you already think you understand what you're talking about, so you got to lead me into what you think is happening here, and then I'll correct you.
The Earth is flat, and the gyroscope proves it.
Lead me into this video on how and why you think that.
Because the gyroscope shows no drift when you would expect it to, flying around a curve at 600 miles an hour. In 1 hour, you're going to travel a particular gradient of a circle. That circle does not demonstrate itself on the attitude indicator. Why?
How many degrees an hour would you travel?
Depends on how fast you fly.
No. How many degrees an hour would you travel?
Right, can't get Lottie.
What's up, my homies?
So,
What's up?
the point you were making was that the speed that you travel is not proportional to the amount that you travel around the globe. Is that what you just said?
I never said that. I just asked how many degrees per hour of arc would you travel?
And then I said it depends how fast you fly, right?
Well, does
The answer
it?
is yes. Yes.
If you think it does, then you don't think the Earth's flat.
How did you come to that conclusion?
You came to that conclusion by asking me the question.
I think we've got cross wires here. Okay. If we
No,
live on a ball,
no. You should think about what you just asked and then ask what you wanted me to answer your question, and you gave yourself your answer by answering the question that you wanted an answer to.
That literally made
that makes sense.
no sense at all.
Right, all right. If we live on a ball, the claim is that the plane flies around the ball because we live on the ball, right? It follows an arc path. Agreed?
Agreed.
So when a plane does that, it has the attitude indicator, it has a built-in gyroscope, and so long as it's functioning properly as a gyroscope, you would
Do you know how a gyroscope works?
Sure.
Why have you done that? Why have you jumped over the top of him to ask him if he understands the physics of a gyroscope or the mechanics of a gyroscope when he's literally mid-sentence explaining the attitude meter, which is based on that
because he thinks they differ on that point.
I asked him.
This is a bit like the orbital mechanics point. You started off making a point, and then we never got to the conclusion of it, and it ended up getting dropped.
Yeah, exactly. We still haven't got to the conclusion of either question.
Because of
but
you.
Carry on.
Because
yeah, but I have tried several times, and it keeps getting destroyed.
No. Carry on.
Okay, so the plane flies around a ball. The faster the plane flies, the further around the arc it goes. That's the law. That is one of the fundamental principles of having a fixed size globe. The faster you fly, the further around the ball you get. However,
the faster
you fly, the further around the globe you get.
Right. Okay.
Are you still with me?
Speed over distance equals time. That's good. Let's go.
Okay. So the faster you fly, the further around the globe you get. So what that should manifest itself
in a given time.
That should manifest itself with the gyroscope inside the attitude indicator showing a dipped horizon by the time you land. So in other words, when you fly from the UK to, say, for example, China, and you land in China, your attitude indicator should show you that you've flown around the curve of the Earth. Doesn't do it. So there's two arguments for it. There's the friction in the bearing, which has been debunked by John Savage, and there's the
Jazz, can you pop yourself on mute, because you're now destroying this explanation with your heavy breathing.
Oh.
No, he's dropped instead, or he's been booted, one or the other.
It wasn't Jazz.
Yeah, he's just dropped or been booted, one or the other. Feel free to continue your explanation without him.
Okay, so as the plane goes around the Earth, it's supposed to show a gyroscopic drift, but it doesn't do it. So the argument is that it's the friction in the bearings and the pendulous vanes. Well, if you look at the friction in the bearings, John Savage proves that the friction in the bearings, it perfectly not only shows the rotation of the Earth 15 degrees every hour, it shows that if you fly around in a ball or any kind of shape, it will always show it. Okay, that's the fundamental principle of maintaining rigidity in space. That's what it does. The gimbal spins around as you move. The gyroscope maintains its position. So we see the drift. John Savage proved it. Slice Barkane and Huey Rolfe didn't like that and started arguing against this friction in the bearing point. And John did the test again the way they wanted him to. And they still didn't like it. And in the end, he gave up on them because he felt that they were trolling him. And I didn't realize he gave up on them because he felt they were trolling him. So when I asked him, why did he not go back and do blah, blah, blah? He said, because it gets to the point where it becomes ridiculous. I'm the one that's doing all the work. I agree totally. It should be up to them to go and get a gyroscope, because he's done 2 tests for them and they wanted to do a third, and he got tired with it. So John proved that the friction in the bearings point was a complete and utter fallacy. It's nonsense. But ballers still claim that it's true. The other point that it does is the other point that's the problem with the gyroscopes is that if you do fly all the way around the Earth and then the gyroscope's meant to show it, but it doesn't show it, the pendulous vanes is claimed and cited as the correction for the curvature of the Earth. Now the problem with that one is that The pendulous vanes are basically the thing that converts the motion of the air inside the gyroscope into the mechanical movement of the gyroscope to keep it powered. But they claim it's a correction. Now, if the problem with that is that means it would be continuously correcting for the curvature of the Earth, even when the plane is stationary on the runway. And of course, that doesn't happen. So this pendulous vanes argument is, again, another nonsense argument that ballers try and put in there to make people confused and think that, well, maybe it's a little bit of a grey area. It's black and white. Pendulous vanes is a nonsense argument. Friction in the bearings is a nonsense argument. If we lived on a ball and a plane was nose dipping all the way around it while it was flying around there, a gyroscope wouldn't work. It would have no purpose in a plane because you would never know what your horizon is. It's that simple. There is no, it's in the same way that we see Mackle Lighthouse in front of us because it's there. It's that simple. There's nothing complicated. None of this nonsense science that you can calculate equations for, mathematics for, and you can calculate anything. It's nonsense. We see it because it's there. The plane does not show mechanical drift because there is none. They are not flying around the curve of an Earth. We just fly across a flat, straight plane, a couple of mountains here and there, a couple of valleys here and there, but fundamentally it's flat because gyroscopes prove it. John Savage has proved it beyond any doubt whatsoever. He got tired of the ballers, Huey Rolfe, Sly Sparkane, and all those other Nancy boys because he just realized that they were trolling. But the only problem that John Savage did was he didn't tell everybody that he gave up on them because they were trolling. He left people like me that come into it quite late on the gyroscopes thing, wondering why did he not do it. And it was only when I spoke to him personally, because he doesn't really respond to messages and whatnot. But the point is, the gyroscopes prove that the Earth is flat. There is no curve to it. You would see it in a plane every single time. Doesn't do it.
Cool story, bro. I'm sure many people listened to you and took notice of what you've got to say.
Gyroscopes prove the Earth is not a ball.
Quick question for you, though, Fathead. Genuine question as well. I'm not messing about here. So, after your remarkable turnout on yesterday's show at the Potatoes, what's next for you, Knuckle Brothers? What do you do from here? Are you gonna speak to the mainstream media? Are you gonna put it out there or anything? Where do you go?
I'm gonna start selling ice cream for a living. Yeah,
I'm going to start bringing ballers that are up for the challenge.
I think this is where I think.
This is why
I'm going to start
you
bringing
get
ballers who are
disregarded,
up for the challenge.
Because when you're
I'm going to start bringing
direct,
ballers that are up for the challenge.
You're just like, you're not even one of those fat jolly people. You're like one of those miserable jolly people that no one likes, like that'd stab your ball if it went in the garden. Just be jolly, be nice, and be happy, and answer the question.
Well, I advocate answering the question at all points because ultimately, when people ask questions and then we get them cornered, they distract. Jeremy showed it, Rumpus has showed it, Paul has showed it, and then Nathan's the one that gets criticised for keeping them on track, which was a calculated move that we discussed that we should not allow them to distract away from it when they know that they're cornered. And we can spot when they're cornered. They think we can't.
Riley,
So,
seriously,
I know about that.
What has that got to do with my question? It's not even relevant.
You said answer the question.
That wasn't relevant.
Yeah, my question
answer
was,
the question.
where do you go from here in regards to what media outlets you're going to? You've had this massive interview with Patricia Steer, as pointed out. What's next for the Knuckle Brothers?
And Truth Frequency Radio and Iron Realm Media. And the next thing really should really be, I'm hoping it'll be either Mark Sargent or Thrive and Survive, because the more people that get to see this and know that it's possible, the more it becomes...
Sorry, again, this is the most prolific flat Earth evidence, and you're going to go to Mr. Thrive and Survive?
Prolific?
Or Mark Sargent?
Well, what else can we do? We have no science to go to, right?
No, you have no science to go to. You have no science.
Correct.
That's
so
it.
where else can we go to? Tell me.
Lottie, why don't you go book us?
Excuse me,
book us a spot somewhere. Go book us a spot.
We're having a conversation.
We would love to go to any media outlet you could book us a spot on. Go book us a spot.
Be quiet, please. So, Riley, you admit you've got nowhere to go from here. This little corner of YouTube is all that's the only thing that's going to happen. You know that, right?
Well, I don't know. It depends on how much motion and traction it gets. I mean, it could go
how do you know that?
But it can't go into the mainstream media.
If that's where truth exists, that's where truth exists. What does it matter?
No, it's not. It's not truth, is it? I'm just saying that this corner of YouTube.
It certainly is truth. And unfortunately, this is the only place that exists.
It's not the only place that exists. It's the only place that your message can be put out because it's utter garbage. It's complete trash.
Well, that's a non sequitur conclusion, but you might be right, Lottie. You know, it might go no further. It may never get talked about again. You're right in that respect. We have no idea what the future holds. Have we contacted media outlets? Yes. I personally have contacted media outlets.
So have I.
Do you think there's going to be
What was their response?
anything on that?
Maybe you didn't listen. I can't predict the future.
What was
I
the
don't know what will happen.
There was no response.
no,
What was the media outlet
Kyrie Irving
responses?
just did a Nike commercial and plainly supported with the grammatron and the flat Earth model. I mean, you can kid yourself all you want, Lottie. It's coming.
I have no idea who you are, so I'm just going to ignore you. So Nathan, so what happens now? So
Well,
what do you do then?
that's
You've
You're
contacted,
going to
the
ignore
BBC.
Kyrie Irving. You're going to ignore Kyrie Irving.
No, I'm going to ignore you, you
You're
dullard.
missing the point completely. This kind of information is what is opinion based, because NASA or the ballers are not providing proof. So until
We're
you
not providing proof for
until
your
you
claim. Are you serious?
until you increase
What's that about?
Yeah, seriously. There's no proof provided to me of any substantiable... There's no substantive evidence that we've been to space or the moon. I think it's just all rubbish.
ODD got on
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what's been happening over the past couple of shows. You said that the big reveal, the big thing was you're going to go on the flat earth and have a hot potatoes. So now what? This is the weekend after your big show. Where are you nincompoops going to head now? What's your plan of action?
I'm here. This is what I do. I do a daily show on the debate. You're keeping it alive by talking about it. Thank you, Lottie. I mean, we were talking about orbital mechanics and stuff. It's nice that you've brought it back up and mentioned that we were on a show yesterday, and we may be on future shows. Who knows? I can't predict the future. Has anybody said to me, can you be on my show tomorrow? No. Have I asked people if I can be on their show? Yes. Frankly, like with anything that you promote... Oh, you don't want to hear the answer? Don't want to hear the answer then. Okay, I'll give up on this question then, Lottie. You don't want to hear the answer, so I'll just give up. I'll just ignore you like you ignored the other
Can I
guest.
ask?
I'll just ignore you. Not
Can I
interested
ask,
in the answer.
Can I ask, when you went to mainstream media, what was their response?
They
No
actually
response.
approached me, the BBC. They approached me. I responded.
I got no response at all.
Answer
How
your
did you
question?
contact them?
They
Email or?
contacted me.
Through their website contact on the email contact on their website.
ODD
Oh, okay.
got on our NBC TV out here in Denver. I mean, we got 6 million people out here.
I would.
Including the servers.
Can I talk
I
just?
think the flat earth is about awareness, really. I mean, I don't think the scientists are going to help. I don't think the media is going to help. I think just like with 9/11, people.
Why wouldn't the scientists help?
Well, because
If you've
they're
got
part of the
credible evidence
conspiracy.
that the Earth is flat, why wouldn't they help?
Because most of the scientists already know. You know, the top
They already know.
scientists.
They are. We've got
Yeah, the
people-
top scientists
How-
like
how
deGrasse
many?
and Lawrence Krauss. Yeah, they
How
already
many
know.
people are we
So
talking about?
Well, I'm one scientist that wants to know if the Earth's flat. So
I want to know
you
how
guys
many
want to appeal to
scientists do you
authority,
think know the
basically.
world
We
is
get it.
flat and keeping it a secret?
We have
I think
very
all the
different-
pilots know.
We have very different ways of looking at it. So you guys, like Lottie,
except me.
whoever, want to see it on TV or on mainstream media in order to accept it. Lottie's saying it's not on mainstream TV, therefore garbage. Well, that's fair enough.
I don't
You
particularly
need a
care
guy
if it
on the
goes on
telly to tell
mainstream
you.
TV,
All right, I'm being
but I was
completely
just
talked
curious
over
what
already.
their response was to you. What I want to know is how many people, scientists people, are covering it up. It seems like huge.
Yeah.
Huge
I'm a
number, wouldn't it?
pilot.
that's what a
You've got
conspiracy
a
is there, Warren.
education system that
A
is
lot of
I'm a
designed.
pilot
getting
that's
together.
not covering it up.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
peer review.
But I mean,
Not
only
me.
two or three people.
Yeah, but we're
Wasn't it
talking
two
about
people who knew
scale.
about
When you
two or
pilots,
three
we don't
people
understand.
knew
When
about
you
Clinton's
say
little
to us, we don't
escapade?
understand. When you say we don't understand scale, you don't understand the scale of this conspiracy. There's been a huge effort to make people believe we're on a spinning ball. So that's a big deal. It's
I
not
just
a
don't. I
few-
just don't think humans in general have got it in them to keep such a secret.
There
Why?
has
When
been
you're
a
on panel-
huge
well, you
scaled
don't-
effort, and you
But you're
believe it.
literally on a panel, right, defending it. So to you, you're not defending a lie. To you, you're defending the truth, that it's a globe, right? You're not in any way deceiving us. You think you're right, correct?
Me?
Yeah. When you say it's a globe, you don't think you're
well,
lying,
I haven't
do
gone
you?
out there and flown around in
Are you
space to see it as a
intentionally
globe. But
deceiving us?
I
that it's a
believe
globe?
that the people that have studied the sciences they're in wouldn't be lying to us. Yeah.
Right, that's what my point
but
was.
they're-
I was
they're
using
the
it with
same level as
Lottie
you,
and saying
right?
it's
Yeah,
an appeal.
so, yeah,
hold
to
on. Let me
summarise
just,
it, yeah.
please, can I just address that? So it's an appeal to authority. You're saying when the scientists say it's flat, I will accept it. Lottie's saying when they say it on TV, I'll accept it. I'm saying I don't
No, I
care
didn't.
who
Nathan,
says it.
shut up.
I'll
Nathan,
ascertain it
shut
for
your
my
mouth.
own.
Shut your mouth, you liar. I never said if we see it on TV, I'll accept it.
You
You
said
stupid liar.
it's garbage because
You're a
it's not been
liar.
on mainstream TV. That
You're a
was
liar,
the
Nathan. You're on your
conclusion
own
you
channel.
drew.
I didn't ask you. I just asked you.
That was
I
the
just asked
conclusion
you
you
if you'd
drew.
approach them. Don't misrepresent me
I'm
and
not
lie about me.
misrepresenting. You
stupid
said it's not been
football
on
head.
TV. Where's it going? Because it's garbage. That was the conclusion you drew.
No, I didn't say it because
Yes,
it's
you did.
garbage. I said
You
you
said
are garbage.
because it is
That's
garbage.
You very
Those
very
are your
literally
exact
said it
words,
was
Lottie. I've got a
garbage.
pretty good memory.
It is. Yeah, it is garbage. It is
Right,
garbage.
so the conclusion
make
you've
up your mind,
drawn.
bro. Just
So the
just make up
conclusion,
your mind.
Lottie, from you saying why isn't it on TV? Your line of questioning about mainstream media was concluded with you saying because it's garbage. Therefore, you can only extrapolate that if it was on TV, it wouldn't be garbage in your world because you like things to be
you're
on TV.
misrepresenting what I'm
You
saying,
like
you
things to be
stupid idiot.
spoon-fed to you by guys on
Seriously.
telly.
Speaking of extrapolation,
I'm just
have you got an idea of what flat shape it is?
Everything
No.
is not garbage.
I just know that the bits I've travelled on are flat.
I'm gonna pay.
Nathan, are you a moron? Spurs, you're in trouble. Spurs, you are in trouble. You know what's going to happen now.
I'm gonna
Spurs,
go out.
Chemo,
I'm gonna pay some better ballers to be on here. I'm gonna literally bribe
Can any of you
ballers
hear
on
me?
here.
Yeah, you can pay me.
Please don't mute each
I'll
other.
take your money.
Oi, whoever's muting, don't do it. Stop it. Whoever's muting each
Yeah,
other.
that's not nice.
Anyway, so yeah, your appeals to authority are not the way me personally, as a flat earther, view things. I don't care what the guy in the white coat says. I only want to satisfy my own interests in that regard. My own understanding is all I'm interested in. And again, if you don't believe me, I don't care either. You know, it doesn't bother me if you don't take what we say to be true.
No,
Fine.
yeah, it's up to you. Your own opinion is yours.
Exactly.
I'm just wondering. Look, I know I don't have the tools to do that, or the education, etc., etc. I haven't gone to physics school or anything like that, so
No, you
I
do
have
have the
to
tools. You do have the tools.
put some
You can-
trust in the society we live in, and they're the guys that studied it, so I have to put some trust in that.
No, that's not true. You can test your own world. You don't have to trust authority. You can test it yourself.
But that's our point. You've got to have faith, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
but I can only test what I see. I've seen the moon through a telescope. I've done that myself, and it
And you
looks like a
accept
globe to
that
me.
what they've shown you of it
Yeah,
on
but
TV
you could also buy a
is
P90.
true
So
to
I
happen.
believe the moon's a globe. I believe the moon's a globe.
You've
Do you have
seen
a
it as
telescope?
globe on TV. You've seen the people in
I
white
do.
coats tell you it is.
Pardon?
But you've seen them show you and tell you that
Sorry,
it's a globe and that they've been to it.
Sorry, I missed some of that. Could you repeat it, please?
Yeah, sure. They've shown you that they have been to this sphere called the moon, and I assume you accept that.
Yep.
Oh, Sniper on deck's going to eject
Yep.
everybody. Marvellous. But yeah, you've accepted that, correct? That they've been there?
My homies are here.
Yeah.
Right, but you can't
Your home
verify
is
it
gone.
and validate it yourself. You're just
Lottie,
prepared
Lottie,
to
sorry
take
to
it on
interrupt. Can I
faith.
just say
No.
Well, hang on. Can I just
No,
say?
I can't go to the moon and look at the equipment they've left behind.
Hang on
No.
a sec. Can I just
So
say,
you
Lottie,
accept
your
that they
homies are now
have
gone.
based on faith.
Okay.
Get rid of Sniper. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you
gone.
accept it on faith, right? You can't validate it. You can't verify it. You can't go there yourself.
Not faith, as in religious faith.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, are you saying faith like a religious faith?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Correct.
Well, then I don't take it on faith
Yes, you do, because you
because
cannot validate
I don't
it.
see it as a religion.
But it is. Heliocentrism is a religion, whether you like
I
it or
don't
not.
see it that way. You see it as a flat Earth.
Well, you've just
No,
accepted
you see it
that you
as a
take
flat
it on
Earth, whether
faith.
you like it or
now
not.
you're saying
So
you don't take
I
it on
don't see
faith.
this as a religion.
Well, that's because you've got a problem and you don't recognise it yet. Your problem is that you don't realise you're part of a religion.
What problem?
Yeah, you're part of a religion.
Okay.
Your religion is based on faith, like all religions, and your faith is that they have been to the moon.
Of course it is.
Well, yeah, you trust and believe them. Well, good for you. You've got to have faith, according to you. You've got to
Semantics.
trust them, according to you. Well, no, you don't. I don't, and I don't trust them.
Nathan, you sound
So what happens?
Right there. Just make sure you keep it calm.
I am calm, perfectly calm, Lottie.
So what happens? So what happens when space flight is open to the general public, which will probably happen in the next 5 to 10 years or less, probably even this year?
Yeah, gotta have a bit of faith.
Would you guys be willing to take
with a bit of faith? It'll happen in the next 5 to 10 years.
Apollo.
So Virgin Galactic happened while I was a teenager. Is Richard Branson taking anybody to space?
And with the Apollo moon landings, they said in 10 years.
I'm not saying Richard Branson.
As long as we keep telling people that in 10 years we'll be going to space, people like you will believe we have. You keep telling people that in 10 years we'll get there, then you'll keep taking it on faith that we have been there.
Sorry?
But until we actually do, I couldn't care less what they tell us we will be doing or might be doing in 10 years' time. It's meaningless.
Rightio. That's right. You don't look at the future.
I don't know the future. That's why when Lottie asked me what was going to happen in regards to these, these shows, I had to give him the same answer, which is I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen.
Nathan, I'm going to interject then and tell you, you're obviously just being an idiot. I didn't ask you to predict the future. I was just giving your opinion on what's going to happen from now. So, for an example...
that's literally asking what's going to happen in the future. You are quite possibly the most stupid person who's been on the panel, Lottie. You are literally... I think I'm going to declare it. Lottie's the stupidest person who's been on the show. You are literally as stupid as anybody gets on this panel. You've literally asked me to predict what's going to happen in the future and then told me that's not asking you to predict the future. You are thick beyond comprehension. Do you realise how stupid you are,
I was just asking if the opportunity came by.
Just let me establish with Lottie if he understands how stupid the statement he's just made is. Do you realise how thick you are?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, a bit unnecessary there by Lottie.
Yeah,
very unnecessary. Very unnecessary.
Thick as they get. Dumb as a box of frogs. What do you think's going to happen in the future? I'm not going to ask you to predict the future, though. What?
So if the opportunity came up to go into space, would you take it? You said before that you'd like to go into space.
Yeah. When there was an opportunity in a competition format by Lynx, otherwise known as Axe in the States. They had the Lynx/Axe Apollo missions, and there was an opportunity based on social media to go to space, according to them. I absolutely signed up and did my damnedest to try and get into that program. Yes, if I could go up and actually prove to myself what it looked like, I would do it in a heartbeat. Until that day, I'm not going to accept that your priests are correct and have done it already, based on their... filmed on a set production of the moon landing.
That then brings us back to the series that was
Who won the competition?
I don't know. It faded into nothing. I tried to keep up with who actually went, and it suddenly seemed to fade into nothingness. So if anyone out there can tell me what happened with the Lynx Apollo program, I'd love to know.
Well, do we all remember the series that was on Channel 4, I think it was, called Space Cadets? That was basically a group of people that were told that they'd won a competition to go into space. And what they did was they got an old airfield that was somewhere near Norwich, I believe it was, and made it look Russian, putting Russian signs up everywhere, flew them out over the North Sea in a plane, gradually brought them back round on a curve that they didn't realise that they were on, and landed them back in Norwich. And they thought they were in Russia. It was in winter sometime. They ran a whole series making them think that they were going to space, and they were doing all this training, all this nonsense. They totally and utterly bought into it. But there was no space. There was nothing. It was just total and utter fabrication. And it was to see how gullible and naive people will be if they're told that they're doing something and it's made to look persuasive.
And with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the audience for tuning in and sharing this show. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live panel for making this debate possible. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.